Okay, so I got a question from Weeg Tattoos. He's early on in his tattoo career, and he asks, "Hi Jason, it's me again. Sorry to bother, but wanted to ask you if you ever felt like this isn't working. I don't know. I'm feeling very frustrated lately. Feeling my tattooing isn't improving, and that I still don't know what style I'm good at or could be good at. I didn't even have the time to practice on fake skin because of my main job as a copywriter. How do you deal with it in your beginning as a tattoo artist?" So, yeah, I've experienced all that with the exception of balancing another job. So I felt the situation where it's like, oh, I don't like, am I going the right path? Is this working out? What should I do different? It's gonna come in different forms. It's gonna hit you in ways you don't expect. You're gonna have to deal with it as you go, and you have to be confident and smart about it. You have to make a lot of changes. You have to be faithful to your end goal. You have to draw on your passion to do it in the first place. You have to be disciplined and stick through the tough parts. So the time part and the job part, for me, I only ever had one job before tattooing. So I worked at a retail clothing company, and I left after 3 months. I gave in my 2-week notice, and I thought about it, I'm like, fuck it, I'm not even gonna go into the last 2 weeks. I hated it there. I loved it because of the coworkers, but I hated it because of the pay, and the managers are just like, they're assholes. They just like the little power that they have, they just abuse it. It's sad and it sucks. It's like, why are you like that? You suck as a person. Anyways, but yeah, I understand. So for the job part, I would suggest that you there's one of two ways you can do it. Is you work the job and work on your passion on the side. But that the con to that is you have less time and energy. Whereas the other way you can do it is just take the leap of faith, dip into your savings, and just go all the way with the passion project. But you need the passion to do it, you need the faith, and you need the discipline to go all in on that. If you don't have any one of these, if you're missing a couple or one, then it's going to be rough, because you're betting all in on this one thing, and that's all or nothing. That's like do or die. And if you're not prepared, then you can't go all in like that. So continuing on his question, it's hard because here the tattoo industry is very underestimated. Very few people pay the real value of the work. Mostly they expect a very cheap price. For my first time tattooing was last year when I got fired because of lockdown. Took my savings, bought a machine, watched some videos on YouTube to learn the basics, and then I threw myself to the wolves little by little. So the thing about early on, you're not gonna charge full price all the time for what you're gonna do. This is the time where you build your portfolio. Money comes in second at this point, because you're right at this moment you're a nobody. You need to put in work. Why would you? I mean, unless you're like really struggling for money, why are you thinking about money so much? You can't, because you need the proof right now. You need the proof and the reputation. So forget about money. Just do a couple free tattoos. Charge very low for what you're doing. And if it's true that this is your true passion, then money comes second, because money always comes second with me. Even now, I will admit that I do think about money a lot more than I did in the beginning, or maybe the same. It always comes second to the project. If it's a good project, my customers would know. I would put more work in, or charge less just so I can do it. So the lockdown forced him to dip into his savings and just go all in. So that was the second of the two ways I mentioned. Just go all in, right? Instead of balancing both. He said he's never been happier. That's a great sign. That means he's passionate. This is what he loves. When you love to do your work, it doesn't feel like work. So he didn't mention why he went back to his copywriting job. I don't know, maybe he needed more money, or maybe this is another thing. People fall back to what they're used to. They get lazy, or they get comfortable in where they're at, even though it eats away at their soul, but it's more comfortable. You can't be comfortable. This kills dreams, this kills your soul. You have to constantly get out and put in work and chase, and that's the price for your dream. You have to sacrifice. There was just a lot of Instagram quotes out right now, but this is relevant. If you don't sacrifice for your dream becomes a sacrifice. I'm gonna stop doing inspirational quotes now. It's relevant though. So yeah, what else did he say in this segment of the question? It's frustrating because I believe that I have a desire to be a great artist, and also the talents or perseverance to practice and improve a lot day by day. So he has a passion, he has the faith, that's important. And what was the third one I said? The discipline. So the discipline, I feel like he's lacking because he went back to his day job. I think this is the takeaway here, is you need to discipline yourself more. You have the two, that's great. That's big. You already have two of the three. Just discipline part now. It's gonna suck because you gotta get out of your comfort zone and start making changes and put in more energy into this than what you were doing before, but it's gonna pay off because now you have all three of what you need to do this is your one life. You have to do it, right? So I think I need more time to practice, learn, try to tattoo longer. So he's aware of this. He's already aware of everything. I think he's just asking me for confirmation. And here I am. I want to give it to you. This is your confirmation. Go fucking do it. I'm going to keep reading his question. Okay, so this is a good cutoff. Whatever I just read about his DM now, this is the contemplating part. Then I read this already. The next part is the technical part of the question. So let me read it. I think I'm rushing my tattoos. I don't know why. Maybe I'm afraid the stencil may wipe out. I don't know. I'm thinking of taking a week vacation and tattoo every day. Maybe some fake skin and maybe some free tattoos to practice. Yep, exactly what I mentioned. But the thing is, I don't know where to start. I mean, what kind of tattoo should I do? So there's already two questions before I move on. The rushing the tattoos to maintain the stencil part, and what kind of tattoos should I do? So yeah, you typically are battling with the stencil to stay on. So what's important is you have to do a good stencil before you start tattooing, and you have to adopt habits to maintain the stencil while you're tattooing. So even if you have to reapply the stencil 5 times, I would suggest you do it. Apply the stencil correctly. Apply the stencil correctly so you have an easier time for the rest of it, which is much larger chunk of the time than you spend on the stencil part. Even if it means you reapply it 5-6 times. So some habits that you have to adopt to maintain a stencil is apply a thin layer of ointment before you start hitting the needle into the skin, because the ink won't bleed into the cracks of the skin and stick on as much than if you were to put that layer of ointment first, because it'll just sit above the ointment rather than the skin. So when you wipe it, it wipes away a lot easier. Also, when you wipe, dab it. Don't wipe so much, because that'll take the stencil away much faster. So the trick is to, when you tattoo, usually I have an ointment, if you see my videos, I have an ointment here. So when I'm tattooing, right, I usually take this finger, I scoop some ointment, apply the ointment, tattoo. Now the ink sits above the skin, right? Take the paper towel and I dab it. So that's good. So that's a good way of doing it. What other tricks are there to maintain a stencil? You can always outline the entire tattoo first in a very light stroke. So you keep the structure, and then when you wipe, there's still that little mark, that very faint light mark, that little scratch on the skin that tells you exactly where the stencil was. So when you can do a whole layer of that first, and then darken everything and reapply and go over it again to finish the tattoo. So those are some tricks. What else? Continuing on. Oh yeah, he says he's thinking on taking a week of vacation to tattoo every day, maybe some face skin and maybe some free tattoos to practice. Good, because yeah, do that. That's good. The thing is, I don't know where to start. I mean, what kind of tattoo should I do? Oh right, what kind of tattoo should you do? Think back on what you love to do. Think back on what you're doing now. I check his Instagram page, and he's doing Fineline stuff. Stick to Fineline. Or see, Fineline is tricky, so you should do some bigger stuff, some bolder lines, maybe 3-round line, or 5 or 7 or 9, and then work your way down to single or 3, because thicker lines are much easier to handle than thinner lines. So maybe that you could explore a bunch of different styles and see which one clicks with you. That's what happened with me. I did a lot of different styles. I did bold line, I did macro realism, I did traditional, I did a bunch of stuff, and then I found out that I kind of like fine line. But because I did all those other styles, fine line, and all my drawing history and practice and everything, fine line came in really easy for me. So I was well prepared before I made the jump to fine line. So maybe you should do that. Yeah, that's a long process. So you should explore. You should practice a lot. So fine line should be later, because it's so tricky to do. You need a lot of practice before you should attempt it, because you're gonna screw up a lot of tattoos, unfortunately, if you rush or if you make the jump too fast. So love your work, love Eva's work. Ali too, micro-realism to the very detail. Yeah, that's what our style is. I recently found out that you don't use gray wash. That's cool. I've been using it, but I'm starting to note that it fades a lot and it needs some touch-ups. Maybe I should start to avoid it. Yeah, so gray wash. So thankfully this is the last part of the question. Gray wash is a lot. It's a lot less reliable than straight black. It can be done if the artist knows how gray wash behaves and knows what he's doing with gray wash. But if you're gonna use gray wash, you gotta know the consequences. Same as if you're gonna use straight black, you're gonna have to know what the consequences are. And they are, so black is, so if this is same tone, so this is gray wash, this is straight black, right? If we're trying to achieve the same tone on tattooing the skin, the gray wash, when it heals this much lighter. When the straight black heals, it heals this much darker. So the jump from here to here on gray wash is this much. And the jump from here to up here on black is this much. So notice the difference. This heals this much lighter, this heals this much darker. And you're doing it on purpose, and you know that this gray wash is going to heal to this tone instead of this tone, and you're applying it knowing that it's going to heal down here. Good. Same as if you know that this the black, straight black ink is going to heal slightly darker up here, and you preemptively apply it knowing this, then okay. So that's gray wash. That's why I use straight black, because of that reason. Later I found out it's for that reason, but in the beginning I used it only because it was simpler for me, because I don't have to set up extra cups. But turns out that's, that's the way it is. So okay, so that was the question. He closes off with, "Sorry for using you as my therapist," and I reply, no, I don't mind, I really enjoy helping. And that's when I asked him, "Ooh, this is great, would you mind if I recorded my answer to YouTube?" And he said, "Yeah, sure, whatever can help other people from this conversation, it is welcome." And I say, "Awesome, yeah." So this is all of it. This is all this stuff. All of it. And this is his Instagram. So he's done some work with some guidance and some practice. It'll improve a lot. He's from Lima, Peru. So, and I don't, like he says, there's not a lot of fine line there. So if he manages to get amazing at fine line, he's set. He's gonna attract a lot of customers, because there's like no fine line artists there. So hopefully he's welcome to always DM me for further questions and concerns. So yeah, finished.